Dune Part 1 was a huge success both critically and at the box office, with it currently sitting at 83% on Rotten Tomatoes and raking in a humble $400 million globally, which puts a lot of pressure on the sequel to live up to expectation, and in this video essay I'm going to break down why it definitely will live up to that expectation, purely because of Paul Atreides. So without further ado, let's get into Dune Part 2, the arc of Paul Atreides. Many people came out of the first film enjoying it, but saying that Timothee Chalamet's performance of Paul Atreides was dull and monotone. But that was for good reason, as all his character work and development will come out in Part 2, as the first film was setting up the journey to come for young Paul Atreides and to ground us in the world and story before his meteoric rise to power, which was a genius decision made by Denis Villeneuve, as by breaking up the story into two parts and using the first purely as a setup to ground the viewer is genius and quite gutsy, as the story for a long time was called unadaptable for the big screen, with many being scared to divide the movie into two parts, as they feared Part 1 would be seen as too boring and in turn not make enough money to warrant a sequel. However, Denis took the risk and it has proven to pay dividends, as he built the world in such a spectacular way that people enjoyed the first one a lot, and Part 2 will blow expectations out the water as the story picks up immensely. Now, before I get into the arc of Paul Atreides, a simple comparison I can give for his character arc is that of Michael Corleone in The Godfather. He is a young man destined since birth for great power, however he shies away from this reality and tries to push it away and take no part in it. However, through certain circumstances and various situations, he has ended up being led into power and becoming a ruthless, wise and experienced leader. This to me is my favourite character arc in film, as it allows so much depth to the character and gives an actor a huge amount to work with, leading to performances such as Al Pacino's Michael Corleone or Orson Welles' Charles Foster, and now Timothée Chalamet's Paul Atreides. We've seen Timothée Chalamet play a role like this before in The King, but personally I feel due to the stronger script for Dune, he will have more to tackle and give an even better performance than he did in The King. Now to Paul's character arc. In the first film, we see constant flash forwards from Paul Atreides, in which he foresees a ruthless, bloody battle as a result of his rise to power and overall conquest of the world, and this shows he is constantly fighting his future and the plans that everyone has for him as a messiah of sorts. However, we constantly get the feeling he is fighting a losing battle and eventually will have to give in to what is destined for his future. This is where it gets interesting, as Part 1 ends with Paul meeting Chani and eventually escaping into the desert with his mother, Lady Jessica, leaving us on a cliffhanger for Part 2, which will begin with Paul starting to realize his destiny and coming to terms with the ruthlessness he will have to adopt to lead the world to a better future and save his people and family. This is where all those people who said his character was boring and bland in the first one will begin to eat their words, as that was used to symbolize him being 15 and not having a true knowledge of the world and being his true self. Because as the story progresses in Part 2, we will start to see a lot more emotion from Paul as he adopts his true mentality and true self as a leader for his people. This is where the intense raw emotion we are used to seeing from a Chalamet performance will come out as he fights who he's becoming and reconciles with his own idea of what a good man is, and in the end lose out to the strong and cutthroat version of himself as he becomes the leader and marries Chani. This excites me a lot, as we haven't seen Timothée Chalamet play a character like this before, and I'm very interested in seeing how he was able to adopt a powerful character and portray a strong, scary leader on screen, which if he can pull it off, coupled with the great story and depth of his character in the script, it may result in Timothée Chalamet receiving his second Oscar nomination. Once again, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys on my next video.